we'll just start with questions.
Are you going to watch the playoff committee's selection show, the first show?
No.
No?
I won't watch the first show or the second show or the third show or however many shows it is because it changes every week. So I don't put any I got a lot of stuff to do, put it that way.
When was the last time we asked you this? You preferred an 18 playoff. Is that still the case?
Yes, I think there's a way. An argument could be made that it's kind of exists right now, but I would like to I think eventually we could put structure around it to where you're tying in those conference championship games. And if you're not in a conference, then you play like a play-in game if you're chosen by the committee. But yeah, I think eventually I think we're gonna tweak this model. But I'm also a big fan of leaving it the way that it is for a couple of years because I think we still need to iron out a bunch of things. And we see a lot of eventualities happen. There's going to be, 5 unbeaten teams one year. There's going to be 5 one-loss teams or 6 one-loss teams one year. So there's going to be a bunch of different things that happen. So I think we have to let it run its course for a few years. But I think eventually, whether it's, stay with the 14 but have 2 teams play their way in, so you really kind of start with 6 or something like that. Yeah, I think eventually we may have to tweak it. But don't get me wrong, it's still 100 times better than what we had before. So I'm still a fan. I just think it's eventually going to change because that's what I'm excited about. That this is a change, so we're open to trying to get it the best way possible. And I think after a few years we may tweak it.
Were you disappointed when Pat Hayden bowed out?
Didn't give it a second thought.
Just the fact that it was a Pac-12 person on the committee.
Yeah, I didn't give it a second thought. I think having talked to a few committee members in the past year, this committee they want to get it right, and it's not really a regional thing. I don't believe this is. They know that the entire college football world is watching them, and I thought last year they did a great job. I think this year they're just as conscientious, and they want to make sure that they get it as right as it can be. So I don't really worry about the regional stuff.
What's Kevin Palmer's status at this point?
I believe he's going to do some stuff today. Do anticipate him playing, but we'll see how it goes. Felt better yesterday. We kept him out of practice. I don't know that he'll go full speed today, but we'll probably take a look at him tomorrow for sure. He'll do some things today and then maybe close to full speed tomorrow, but we'll see how it goes.
Were you guys healthy aside from that?
Bunch of bumps and bruises. We held a couple guys out of practice last night. Nothing too bad, but I think everybody should be up for the game. It was a physical game. It was a very, very physical game after a line of other really physical games. So last night we didn't put the shoulder pads on. Usually just shoulder pads on Monday nights. Took the shoulder pads off just to take some pounding off of our guys.
What is Devin Kaju's status for this game, Coach?
Feeling a lot better. Practiced last night before we had to go to class. Should practice today and anticipate him playing.
Could Kevin Hogan have done this job, this kind of running in the last couple of weeks before this game?
Would have been a lot harder. Maybe the previous week because he could cut and run. 2 weeks ago, probably not. He couldn't get that burst of speed. There was a play 2 games ago on a third down where he was about to turn the corner, and that typical speed that he has didn't really show up like it did this past game. So I think it would have been tougher a couple games ago.
Since he probably won't be here to answer, he's here. How did the rain affect his throwing?
I don't think it did.
Huh?
I don't think it did.
It did?
No. We dropped one ball in Dalton Schultz. It was a low ball. It was a tough catch. But, I don't think the rain really affected anybody, either team, honestly. What affected us on offense was their defensive line. They were very aggressive. They were very physical. And it made a lot of things tough.
How did Kevin Anderson do? He had a sack, and then he also had a roughing the passer penalty.
Which was a good call.
It was a good call.
Yes, it was a good call. It wasn't late, but anytime you hit the quarterback and then kind of pick him up and fall on him, they're going to call that. That's, we were talking about yesterday, but Ben Gardner got called for it 4 years ago. The same thing. You just can't do it. You hit him and you take him down, great. But you can't kind of pick him up and fall on him. But I thought he looked great. He's got fresh legs, as the guys say, because he hasn't played in a month. He felt much stronger. He felt much better. Cardio-wise, probably wasn't where he wanted to be. He was a little bit rusty, he felt. But having him back for this game was huge. On top of Mike Tyler playing the last couple of weeks and playing pretty well, to be able to rotate 4 guys at the outside linebacker / defensive end position was huge, keeping those guys fresh. In particular, last week when you're playing against a team that throws the ball a lot, and again this week where you have a team that runs a lot of plays, to be able to be too deep on both of those sides helps a lot. So it was good to have Kevin back. I thought he looked good. He was a little rusty here and there, but a typical Kevin Anderson, he gave great effort, made a lot of second effort plays. His hustle on the 2-point play was phenomenal. Cody Whitfield makes a great tackle, but the guy's just about to stretch and maybe get over the top, and Kevin comes over there and knocks him back out of the end zone, or keeps him out of the end zone. I thought he played well.
How many plays did Gore Davis get in after the 2 guys got hurt?
I think it was only a couple. I think Nor helped us on special teams as well. And once again, Nor's coming back. He's completely healthy. Last week practice was good. Back to being physical again like he is. We'll see where he is on special teams wise this week, and we'll watch him again practice on defense and see if it all starts to completely come back. Because once again, like I said, he's healthy. He's being physical, but hasn't played the game since spring. So it's coming back. It's coming back. So hopefully we'll be able to get him in the mix.
David, you ran 114 plays against UCLA. Do you have any concern? I don't know if concern's the right word, but Nick Saban has talked about they need to do something to rebalance offense and defense. Do you have any feelings about rule-wise their ability to run 114 plays?
I don't want to comment on anything that Nick said necessarily. He's earned the right to have his opinion. I'll say this. If a team runs that many plays, number one, you're helping them. You're either not keeping the ball long enough on offense, or you're not getting stops on defense. Doesn't matter what tempo they run. If they have the ball that long or in that many plays, we're not doing our part. So I think for years we've always played against up-tempo teams. And the games that we've played well, they don't run a lot of plays. The games that we don't play well, they do run a lot of plays. So I think the structure of our offense, if we're able to keep the ball, control the clock, get first downs and then touchdowns, then we can minimize that. But personally, I don't think there needs to be a rule change. I think what happens, it's just the game. If you have 2 up-tempo teams, both teams are going to run a lot of plays because they're going to score quick or they're going to give it back quick. So it's a tennis match. Whereas if you have 2 non-up-tempo teams, you don't worry about that. But then you got an up-tempo team against a non-up-tempo team. It depends on who's playing better. The team that's playing better is going to get the pendulum swung in their direction.
You guys did something I hadn't seen in a while, which was decline that holding penalty. I think it was a 2nd and 10 call. What's your calculation when you do that?
We usually have a quick discussion about it, and the referees do a good job of kind of giving us about 90 seconds to really discuss it. Get them a 3rd down. I thought we had done a good job pressuring on 3rd down, good job of getting off the field. A team like that that's so good with screens, running back screens, receiver screens. They have so many, as many as anybody I've ever seen. You get those guys to a second and long, you know, they have a good history of getting back to third and medium. So now if we can keep them at 3rd and 10 and try to make them drop back and throw it with the pressure that, you know, Aziz and Kevin Anderson and Joey and all those guys and Kevin, Peter Kalambai and with those guys rushing the passer the way that they were, we thought we had a better chance getting 3rd and 10 and taking our chances that way.
But that's just a gut call, right? You don't have a chart for something like that.
Nah, not really. Not really. There are certain teams where, hey, if we get them to 2nd and long, absolutely put them back there. And maybe early in the game, we probably would have done that for sure. But I think the way that the game had gone, the way that we were playing up front and getting after the passer pretty well. I don't know how many times we hit them, but we got after them pretty good. We thought 3rd and 10 was a good idea.
About number 2 in pass defense efficiency, number 6, about not many yards out of top pass defense in the conference. Can you evaluate your young secondary so far?
Doing pretty well.
What do you
Kidding.
like about it?
Sorry. I think the 2 guys that go underappreciated to a certain degree are our 2 safeties. Both guys are former offensive players. Both guys are 4th-year seniors. Both guys are unbelievably conscientious and want to do the right thing. And they make all the calls to get everybody else lined up. So you're able to play a sophomore corner and a true freshman nickel because you've got 2 seniors playing safety that help those guys get lined up and make the calls. And I think the other guy that's really unappreciated right now is Ronnie Harris. And Ronnie Harris is leading the conference in passes defense. It's been impressive. He's played extremely well. So the combination of all those things, having those 2 seniors at safety, having a 5th-year senior corner who's playing his best football, and then a naturally gifted a sophomore corner and a very gifted young freshman playing nickel, and not to mention Terrence Alexander came in and getting a pass defense. I think those guys have come in and played extremely well together. I think Coach Akina's gotten them ready to play and has trained them very well. And Coach Anderson playing the coverage to their strengths. We don't run 15 coverages. You know, we run a limited number. We try to get really, really good at them.
Did you welcome all those squib kickoffs that gave you the ball on the 40-yard line every time? I mean, would you just assume everybody did that?
Sounds fine to me. I'm great either way. Kick it deep to Christian every time, or squib it, or pooch it every time. The percentages are in our favor to get good field position. So I'll take them either way. This one sad part is you wish that those would go in the stats for Christian, right? Because squibbing the ball to the 40-yard line is just like getting a 40-yard kickoff return. But offensively, we don't care either way. It helps. It helps to have that good field position, in particular the way that we're punting the ball and playing good defense. Even if we don't move the ball, we can punt the ball and back the other team up and still keep the field position in our favor.
Well, just to follow up on that, you had some good returns from Dalton Schultz and a couple of other people on those squib kicks. Could you have, stacked it up with even more Barry Sanders and guys like that in that group in the middle of the field?
Oh, don't think I haven't thought about it. But at the same time, you train guys for certain positions, and it's the reason why we put tight ends there, and guys. Some of the guys on defense are there, but those are guys that played offense at some point in their careers typically, and we work those all the time. Part of the reason why we work those all the time is because we've had Chris Owusu and Ty Montgomery and Christian McCaffrey. So we've had, over the last 6 years, we've had some of the best kickoff returners in the nation. So we've seen stuff like this quite a bit. So we know our up guys. We work on the squib kicks all the time with the front line. We work on the surprise onside, the bunt kicks, the sky kicks. We work on that stuff every week with those guys just because of the dynamic return men that we've had.
But have you ever had a team that just went basically the whole, except for the final kickoff, they went the whole game taken away from them?
I want to say someone, I can't remember who, someone did it when we had Chris Owusu. Someone did it when we had Chris Owusu. And that was kind of, I think it was the year that he had returned 3 for touchdowns. And it might have been 2 teams that year. They just said, we're not going to do it. I mean, Chris was in the best shape of his life. He was running the low 4.3s and was leading the nation kickoff returns. So, yeah, we've had that a couple times. But like I said, I'm good either way. Our guys, Coach Alamar's done a great job preparing those guys. We work on those things every single week. We did muff one of them. We made a switch there. But typically those guys work on those every week.
You guys have in the past, like with Ryan Harris, started your young guys off at nickel and then they eventually moved to corner. Is that the plan with Quentin at some point, maybe next year, do you envision him moving full time to corner?
Well, that's kind of where we're excited about a lot of our young guys. There's some versatility. Quentin's a very, very conscientious young man. He studies it really, really hard. He wants to be really, really good. He's got a great foundation with his dad, just understanding the concepts of defenses. And he's got the body type that honestly could play nickel, corner, or safety. And I think in time, he may see time at all 3 of those places. So, you've got young Justin Reed, who's very similar. You start him up at one safety position, and you'd love to teach him both safety positions, and he may one day play the nickel. So I think we've done a good job of recruiting guys with some position flexibility. That I think it's really good to keep mixing up. You see Terrence Alexander played a lot of nickel last year, and now he's played some dime this year. So we've been able to rotate some of those guys and play different positions.
I can't remember seeing so little out of Daniel Marks in a game before. You used him obviously on the short yardage and goal line and all that, but was there some reason where you didn't use a fullback?
Yeah, just kind of game plan this week. A couple different things that we tried. Spread them out a little bit more. But he came back in, and some of those formations was in the backfield with Kevin. Some of those quarterback runs, he was back there, did a good job. No, I think Daniel's done a really, really good job this year, and we'll continue to mix him in.
What scares you about Colorado?
They just play really, really hard. They play the way that you want your teams to play. And whatever mistakes you make, they're going to capitalize. You watch them play against UCLA. You watch them play against Arizona. They are very aggressive defensively. Offensively, they go up-tempo, and if you're not lined up, the ball's going to get snapped, and somebody might be open, or there might be a gap that's unaccounted for. So you have to be ready every single play. They've done a good job with some of their trick plays. They've done a good job of getting the record holder at receiver in position. He's a great route runner that gets open against all coverages, short and deep, and has done a great job. And I think that quarterback play, have an experienced quarterback back there that's athletic to make you miss and keep plays alive, and he's a very, very good decision maker. So that's the thing. You really watch them. They play really well. And teams that go in there and are not ready, they end up behind. So we got to go in there with a great mindset and try to play a better football game this week than we played last week.
There's people that lament the Northwestern loss a little bit, but a few weeks ago, Christian McCaffrey said something to the effect that it bonded the team and brought them closer together. Do you think that that's true and has played a role in the success you guys saw afterwards?
No question about it. No question about it. I think every good team has something that they overcome. And the teams that don't end up being a good team are the ones that something bad happens and they don't learn from that mistake. We're still not perfect, but I think that game has kind of been a rallying cry to a certain degree because we didn't play our best football. because we didn't find a way to win. We didn't make enough plays in any side of the game. So I do agree with that. I also agree. I also am a firm believer in, you are where you are because of where you come from, and that's it's a conscious thing you have to be wary of, or intent on learning from mistakes, learning from bad experiences as well as you learn from good experiences.
Could you take us through any changes you're going to make for preparation with the 10 a.m. kickoff?
The big thing is we're moving our game day meetings. We typically have game day meetings and walkthroughs. We're just moving those to Friday evening, so let the guys sleep in a little bit longer. Not a lot of major changes, but that's one significant change. So we'll let the guys get some more sleep before we wake them up, feeding them, and get them to the stadium.
'Cause you can't do anything with the practice this week, right?
No, we're not going to do anything in the morning. We got a lot of school stuff that we want to get our guys through, and waking guys up early in the morning during the course of the week, I think just gets them tired.
How much
'Cause-
more time will that get you on Saturday morning?
About an hour, maybe a little bit less, but I think hopefully that'll help.
Kevin Hogan can move ahead of Andrew on that, as the all-time winningest quarterback in Stanford history. Of the quarterbacks that, forget anything else, passing, accuracy, running, or anything. Just in terms of sheer leadership, how does he stack up against other Stanford quarterbacks or other quarterbacks that you've seen?
I will say this. When I worked with John Gruden, he used to make all the position coaches create a sheet, which we've done here also, of all the characteristics that you want at every position. And the one that I've always kept, we had for quarterbacks, number one was leadership. And I added underneath that, show it every single day. And under that is toughness. Show it every single day. But everybody is different, and you show leadership in different ways. Tavita Pritchard was a great leader. He's a little more vocal than Kevin. Kevin's not as vocal. Andrew was probably between the two. But the bottom line is, it's just got to be there. And the leadership and the toughness has to be there and has to be felt by the team. And it mixes with whatever personality the quarterback naturally has. So it's hard to ever quantify it. Rich Gannon was a phenomenal leader. Rich didn't stop talking. He was yelling and screaming at everybody, every play. But the guys felt his passion, and that's the biggest thing. As long as the team knows that the quarterback is pushing, and the quarterback's putting himself in there too. He's not just pointing fingers. He's like, the finger's pointed at me too. I need to be better. I need to be as good as I can be. As long as the team feels that, then it's effective. So it's hard to compare them because everybody does it a little bit differently.
Since you mentioned Tavita, could Hogan be a coach someday?
God, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody.
Well, just in terms of his knowledge of football.
Absolutely. I mean, he understands the game of football as well as any player in college football right now. Offenses, defenses, blitzes, coverage structures. But God, I hope he finds a real job when he's done playing.
Hey, Coach.
Yes.
I remember you mentioned at one point as a player that you had some kind of experience with Ralphie or something at one of the games. I was wondering if you could recall.
I would refer to it as my most terrifying experience as an athlete. Not to bore everybody with the story, but so it was back in the day when they didn't really have as much regulation around Ralphie and where that cage is, because it used to be right outside. Now it's a little bit farther away from the locker room. It used to be right outside the locker room. And this was my first game in college football, my true freshman year. Ed McCaffrey wasn't healthy yet, so I didn't travel. I got a chance to travel. Was really excited. So we go warm up, we come in the locker room, and then we're coming back out. And for some reason, I want to be the first guy out. So I go to the front, the locker room, they open the locker room doors, and I step out, And as you step out, you turn left, and there's the field. And I look out in the field, and here comes this Volkswagen with horns, right? Just dragging these human beings on the side. And she seems to be running right at me. And so, of course, my natural instinct is to go back in the locker room, right? But I got 79 other guys trying to come out of the locker room. So I'm trying to go back in. They're all coming out. And it's probably 20 yards away, but it felt like 5 feet away where they finally turned the buffalo into her cage. And, I don't think that my heart stopped pounding until the ball was kicked off. Just to see a large, fast animal coming right at you was very, very nerve-wracking. But, I'll be staying in the locker room until she's in her cage this week.
Thanks, everyone.